Peace was good. Welcome to another hip hop hour review. This is part 48. This is the moment you guys been waiting for. Nas's Life is Good. This was released this year. This was released last week. Alright. You guys should know who Nas is. I'm gonna do a breakdown of his albums going up to this album. I feel like it's more appropriate. You guys should know Nas, he came out with Illmatic back in 1994. That was deemed as a classic album, very groundbreaking. Definitely one of my favorite albums of all time. And 2 years later, he had released It Was Written, released in 1996. There's a lot of people that I know personally that feel like It Was Written was a lot better than Illmatic. And I could see why. Is because in It Was Written, that album had like a lot more subject matter. He talks about, a point of view of being a gun. He talks about, black girls being lost and shit like that, and a lot of ill topics and stuff like that. And but also he caught a lot of flack because people wanted another Illmatic from Nas, but the powers to be, kind of forced Nas to do some of the filler tracks and stuff like that. But it worked out because it became like his best-selling album to date. And then in 1999, 3 years later, he had released I Am. I Am, in my opinion, is very underrated. Reason being is because a lot of people were saying that he kind of went for more of the commercial sound. That album had a lot more fillers. I could kind of agree with that. I mean, it has some filler, but it has some street joints too. Maybe some of the beats weren't as menacing as the other the previous albums that I mentioned before. And then a couple months later, that same year, he had released Neurotics-Step. And I have to admit, that album, when I first heard it, I didn't like the album. You gotta excuse me, I got a cold, so you guys can bear with me. But Neurotics-Step had way too much filler. But then over the years, I gave it a chance, and it's not as bad as I thought it was, but it's definitely not his best album. It's definitely one of his weaker albums. And in 2001, he had put out Stillmatic. Stillmatic, he definitely was, he was going through the whole Jay-Z and Nas beef and stuff like that. And you guys know who the victor is. Nas, he did his thing, killed Jay-Z. I don't care what nobody says. And in 2002 was a pretty dark, grim year. 2001, 2002 was a grim year for Nas because his mom was sick with breast cancer, and she unfortunately passed away that same year. And he had released Godson, another dope album, very underrated in my opinion. A lot of people were saying like the beats weren't all that or whatever. I thought the beats were dope, you know what I mean? I mean, it's obviously not like It Was Written or Illmatic, but I thought it was a deep album and the shit that he was going through. That same year, he also put out the Lost Tapes with like songs that was left off from I Am and Nostradamus, songs that was recorded between 1998 and 2001. And in 2004, in my opinion, was like the beginning of Nas kind of falling off. And he still got lyrics, but he still had lyrics, but like the beat choices that he had was horrible. And I did a review of Street Disciples, and I said I didn't really like the album. It was kind of like, it was kind of mediocre, kind of meh. And 2 years later, he had released Hip Hop Is Dead. Same thing, was kind of meh, wasn't all that. And that's because of the beats. Same thing for next album, Untitled. Same thing. The album was kind of eh. It was supposed to be called a nigga album, but because the powers to be forced him to change the title and called it Untitled. And then in 2010, he had released a collab album with Damian Marley called Distant Relatives. That one was cool. It was dope. It was something different from Nas, but it was a decent album. I liked it. And then this year, 2012, he had released this album. You know what I mean? Very dope album, I have to say. As you can see, I'm rocking my Queens represent. You know what I mean? How to represent. You know what I'm saying? Dope album cover. Life is Good. This is paying homage to Marvin Gaye's Here My Dear. He talks about how this album is compared to like his album that was released in 1978, Marvin Gaye's album Here My Dear. where Marvin Gaye had divorced from his wife, his first wife, and so he pretty much paid homage to that. So I thought that was pretty deep right there. And this is a piece of Khaleesi's wedding dress that he found at his house or whatnot. And get into the album, you see Nas chilling right here. You see Queensbridge right here, or the Queensboro Bridge, or the 59th Street Bridge, or Queensbridge, you know, for whatever you prefer. Alright? Singles this album was known for. This album came out with 5 singles. The singles are Nasty. Oh, I'll talk about, Nasty, which was the first single, which came out back in back last year, last summer. Second single, The Don, which was big when I first heard it. It was very big. Definitely a dope club banger. You know, definitely would be playing in the clubs. Daughters was just the third single, which they have a video for. I posted a link to all the videos and stuff like that. Accident Murderers, that was another single that recently came out like a couple weeks ago, or last month I should say. In Locomotives. Alright, this album has 18 tracks. This is the deluxe edition. It comes with 18 tracks. By the way, I bought this at Best Buy, but there's a collector's edition where it comes with this version, but it also comes with a box set. It looks like a box set, and it comes with a T-shirt. And I could have bought it, but it was like $24.99. I wasn't really trying to spend that kind of bread, so I was like, I just settled with this. So this was good enough for me. Singles producers on the album: Salam Remy, Heavy D, No ID, Justice League, Ronnie Darkchild Jerkins. For all my R&B heads, you guys will know about him. You guys should be familiar with that name. DJ Hot Day, who was did Black Poets, old DJ from back in the mid to early to mid 90s from the group. They were together called PhD. Swiss Beats, Buck Wild, Heavy D, rest in peace. 40, Al Shucks and Boy Wonder. For all my Drake fans, you guys should be familiar with those names. You guys know how I do. I'm gonna do a little breakdowns of some of the songs. Alright, No Introduction. Dope song. It was produced by Justice League. Definitely a dope track. I'm not a big Justice League fan, but they definitely did Nas justice with that song. Definitely dope. It's self-explanatory. It's just telling you like, yo, I'm here, I'm back, you know, Nas is back, you know, expect more Venom and shit like that. That's why I got out the song. The second song, Locomotive, featuring Lost Professor, very dope track. I would fucking love that song. Hopefully he makes a video out of that. My only gripe with that song was that I wish Lost Professor had made a verse, had did like a nice 16, or at least produced a track, you know what I mean? But overall, dope song. I really liked it. You know, pretty dope as hell. I definitely recommend checking that song out. Third song, A Queen Story, is paying homage to Queens. That song is a dope song because he talks about his relationship with E Money Bags. For you guys that know about E Money Bags, who was affiliated with Life Squad, and who Life Squad was affiliated with Tupac, and he talks about how him and E Money Bags, the relationship, and also Nas' relationship with Stretch, and how he talks about the night that Stretch got killed, Nas was with him a couple hours before he got killed and shit like that. I thought that was pretty interesting. For those that know about Life Squad, Google it, Wikipedia, all that shit, you know what I mean? Fourth track, Accident Murderers, dope title by the way. Sound like an ill movie, for a dope movie or something. It's featuring Rick Ross. I'm not the biggest Rick Ross fan, but he actually sounds decent in this song, you know what I mean? The song is pretty much about how you got these two dudes who was looking for somebody to kill, but you know, of course, mistaken identity, killed the wrong person that they was looking for. But they didn't care because, you know, they just bragged about how they killed people and shit like that, just bragging about that shit, you know what I mean? Some bitch ass shit, you know what I mean? That's why I got out from Accident Murderers. Fifth track, Daughters, another single of that album. Fucking love that track. It definitely shows a false perspective of the daughter. You know, just being protective over their daughters. 'Cause you know how men are these days, bunch of thirst buckets. You know, just trying to get in girls' pants and shit like that, without just trying to get to know the girl. You know what I mean? And that's what I got out the track. It kind of reminded me of NOG's Be a Father to Your Child, but with a twist to it. You know what I mean? But it definitely gives props to fathers and stuff like that. So I really like that track a lot. From what I understand, there's a lot of controversy to that track because Nas's daughter Destiny had on her Twitter or Instagram, she had released a picture of condoms, of a condom collection, and I guess that's what inspired Nas to make that song Daughters and stuff like that. And also Destiny's mom, Carmen Bryant, who was Nas's baby mom during the Illmatic years and stuff like Illmatic era, was not a fan of the song and shit like that. You would say, Nas, who is he, blah blah blah. Me personally, Carmen, if you watching this, go fuck yourself. You just hate, you know what I mean? I feel like Nas is a good dude, but that's why I got out of Daughters. Pretty dope track, definitely check it out. The sixth track, Reach Out, featuring Mary J. Blige, very dope track. I really like it. What's cool about that track, it kind of reminded me of it brought me back to like 93, 94, you know, during like the Ron G tapes, the blend tapes that he's known for, where he would do like boom bap beats with R&B vocals. Like he'll make the beats and he'll put like R&B vocals. That's what it kind of reminded me of. And it also, I could see that song being with Mary J. Blige's remix album to What's the 401 that was released back in 1993. Definitely go check that album out. That's what it brought back to me. That's what it reminded me of. Brought me back to 93. The seventh track, Was an Addiction, released featuring Anthony Hamilton. Dope song. It's pretty much telling people, what I got out of it is like, you know, just be wary of people's addiction all over the world, whether it's alcohol, drugs, sex, you know, things of that nature. Just don't get caught up in that. And that's what I got out from that song. And it's good to see Anthony Hamilton still making music. Eighth track, Summer of Smash, featuring Miguel and Swiss Beats. Was not a fan of that song. I could have done without that song. It didn't fit the album in my opinion. It just felt like something that should have been on a mixtape or should have been on Swiss Beats' song, album, whatever. Swiss Beats, I like his early stuff from the late 90s to the early 2000s, when the whole Rough Rider invasion that was going on back in the early 2000s. That's the Swiss Beats I want back. Swiss Beats for me, he's like hit or miss, and that's just my opinion. Ninth track, You Wouldn't Understand. That's a pretty dope track. It's kind of like an ode to Queen's story and things like that. I kind of got out of that. That's a song produced by Buck Wild. I like the beat a lot. It's a dope song. It's featured Victoria Monet. The beat, the sample, it kind of reminded me like something something you would have heard back in the late 80s, like around 86, 87. You know, like the adult contemporary, like adult contemporary, something like Brenda Russell would have done, or, you know, Stephanie Mills, you know, that era of, you know, R&B, you know what I mean? That's what, that beat kind of reminded me of that. Back When, dope song, that's a dope song as well. The Dawn, number 11, produced by Heavy D. Pretty dope song, definitely an ill club banger. It's not corny, or the hip hop heads, anybody can get down to that track. It just has the ill ass beat, you know what I mean? Just like you hear a nice Supercat sample, the vocals and shit like that. He definitely did his thing on that song. There's a video for that. I'll post a link to that as well. Stay, dope track. 13, Cherry Wine featuring Amy Winehouse. Very dope song. I really like that track a lot. By the way, rest in peace, Amy Winehouse. You definitely are missed. Definitely talent that was wasted way too early. Well, not wasted, but like, you know, that left the earth way too early. That song, what I got out of that song was people's desires towards true love, because you know how it is. Like nowadays, it's hard to find love. You know what I mean? Like I'm still trying to find the right girl. I'm pretty sure the same thing for the girls. You know, trying to find the right man or the right girl. I mean, same thing for guys. What do you find? Trying to find the right man or the right girl, whatever. You know what I mean? And that's why I got out of Cherry Wine. You know what I mean? Pretty dope track. 14, Bye Baby. Man, Nas, he went in that song. He pretty much talks about his whole relationship with Khalees. He talks about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And, you know, you could tell he was definitely talking shit about Khalees. You know what I mean? You know, he talked about the good times he had with her. And he talks about the bad and the ugly, which became the divorce. You know what I mean? And he talks about that. And then going to the bonus tracks, number 15, Nasty, which was the first single, which was which came out last summer. Pretty dope track, really dope song. It definitely set the tone of the album. It definitely set what people to expect for the album, and it definitely lived people up to their expectations and stuff like that. Dope track, dope video too. Next song, Black Bond. You know, he's comparing himself to the Black James Bond. You know what I mean? Dope track right there. And then Roses, track 17, Roses, dope song too. And number 18, Where's Love, featuring Cocaine 80s. Dope song, you know what I mean? Overall, I recommend this fucking album. This is a dope album. Nas is back. Well, he hasn't gone anywhere, but the Nas that we wanted for so long, he's back. He's better than ever. From what I understand, this album had a XXL rating, a XXL mag, which is pretty crazy because I haven't seen something like that with that rating in such a long time. Even though I don't really read XXL anymore because I kind of fell off with, you know, hip hop magazines and stuff like that. And Nas, you know, he was comparing this album to Illmatic. I don't know about that. I wouldn't go that far. But maybe as far as like the flows and the lyrics, but as far as the production, not really. But this is supposedly his last album under Def Jam Records, thank God. And he's supposed to come out with a collab album with DJ Premier. He said after this album he'll be working on that, so we'll see what happens with that. And also I know that he has a whole bunch of songs he's done with Lost Professor, because Lost Professor back in I think 2002 in the magazine interview, he said that he has like three albums worth of songs with Nas. So I want to hear those. If I find that article, I'll post a link down to that article. So I definitely recommend this album wholeheartedly. This is Nas Life is Good, his 10th album. Definitely worth your money. And that's it. If you guys, let me know what you guys think of the review. Let me know what you guys think about the album. I definitely recommend it. And like I said, if you want to get the collector's edition with the t-shirt, you have to get it on Best Buy. That's the only place you can get it at. You know what I mean? So, and that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. Peace.